One. And a good Tuesday morning post Halloween trick or treat.
Trick
Boo!
or treat, yeah. How was your trick or treat?
As usual, as it has been since day one, not one soul showed up. And we had the lights on. They're on every night anyway, but we had the lights on, and not one person showed up. And it had nothing to do with the wolves that we had tied up in the front yard,
Oh, my
or the
goodness.
moat, or the sharks,
Oh, my goodness.
or the gators, or the armed security people walking around.
Well,
Had nothing to do with any of that. Nobody showed up.
I'm gonna tell you, it was packed in our neighborhood. We had a lot of kids, and I must say that all the kids and the parents were so respectful,
Were they really?
so nice. It was just such an
That's
enjoyable
pretty cool.
evening. We ran out of candy
You
Um,
could have come over. We had plans.
no, I told him I was going to go in the house and get all my hurricane stuff and start passing it out. My Vienna
I,
sausages and spam and
whatever, that works.
peanut butter cups, whatever. I would
Mm.
clean out the cabinet, but there was a lot of people in our hood.
Well, we didn't have anything. Not a soul. Not
Yeah.
one. Not even one. Since our grandbaby got old enough not to want to go trick or treating.
Oh, we had people coming from everywhere. It
Duplin
was
County, I understand.
yes, Duplin County.
That's
I
funny.
got a surprise visit from my nephew and his family, and I was
Drove
like,
all the way to
"Whoa,
Jacksonville to go
yeah,
trick or treating. Well, over when we did live in Northwoods,
right,
there were a respectable number of people there.
right,
So
right."
that was always
But
fun.
anyway, good morning, and I'm Lee Barrels,
And I'm Rayford Brown.
and hi,
And
hi everyone.
we got coming up in about 25 minutes or so.
Yes, Doctor,
Dr.
Congressman
Dr. Greg Murphy,
does a little
our
bit of
third
everything.
district representative. I hope all
Yes.
of his surgeries came out okay yesterday.
Well, I hope so too for the patient's sake.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. How would you like to, go under the knife with a guy who's your congressman? Wouldn't that be
That would be
interesting?
a story to tell, wouldn't
Wouldn't that
it?
be interesting?
Say, "Who's your doctor, Congressman Murphy?"
Well, I had to get congressional approval for this
Yes,
surgery.
yes, that would definitely be a story to tell.
Over there in Chicago, not on the south side, on the west side.
Poor kids can't even go trick or treating.
What is this about?
It's horrible.
14 people injured, several children in a mass shooting on Chicago's west side last night, Halloween night. The Chicago PD confirmed that the shooting happened in the area of South California Avenue. Well, there you go, Chicago and
Right.
California Avenue and West
Put those
Polk
two
Street.
together.
Yeah, it's what is this? Among those injured, a 3-year-old, an 11-year-old, and a 13-year-old. Police said the rest of the shooting victims were all adults. In addition to the victims injured in the shooting, authorities said a person was also hit by a car. No real details on that, and the investigation
Goodness.
is continuing, and they don't have a whole lot of information. They have a lot of pod camera video. One car, they believe two shooters opening fire on a crowd standing at that intersection for a vigil. So they weren't out there for Halloween. They were there for some sort of a vigil. The drive-by attack lasted only 3 seconds. The shooters fired randomly into the crowd. No suspects have been arrested, and the motive for the attack is unclear. How about a case of
Let's drive by and shoot at people.
stupidity?
Yeah,
Just
right.
total stupidity, a wanton case of stupidity.
Well, I know. Did you see the part where they say they picked up a little girl about 13 and brought her to the ambulance, and the ambulance said we can't take her because we have people more seriously injured, so they treated her on the bumper of the ambulance and let her go. I mean, this is horrible.
Well, don't you have another ambulance?
I know, really. And I just think of those children out trick or treating. They're forever scarred. And speaking of scarred, what was with the clown costumes last night? There were so many clown
There are
costumes.
so many people who are afraid of clowns for one reason or another. I don't know why.
I mean, there
They're
were whole
phobias.
families full of clowns, and I'm like, what is up with the clowns?
Y'all a bunch of clowns come to my door at the same time now. I'm probably going to. You're not going to like me.
I was like, y'all need to quit clowning around because this is not good coming up here all dressed up as crazy, creepy clowns. There were clowns everywhere.
Why are clowns? They're funny.
It was either clowns or people dressed up as Mike Myers. I don't know which is worse. And I'm like, and there's one guy that was dressed up as Mike Myers, and he played the part. He would just stare at you. He wouldn't say anything. I mean, I thought it was the real Mike Myers. I'm telling you, I was getting worried. Thank goodness all my neighbors were packing. 'Cause I'm like, there may be problems here.
I don't know. I didn't see any reports of any incidents here in the Jacksonville area over last night. So I didn't hear any fireworks, didn't hear any gunfire,
I
didn't hear
didn't
any of that
either.
kind of stuff. So that's always good.
But I tell you, we talked about pedestrian safety yesterday,
Yeah.
and I saw a lot of a lot of things last night, that could have been added to those statistics. I mean, I saw a couple here and there letting their kids run across the street, and I saw vehicles going down the road way too fast for so many people being out along
Maybe
sidewalks.
we should do kind of like the trunk or treating thing. Maybe there should just be everybody who wants to participate in Halloween. Yeah, I
Right.
mean, I hate to see it this way, but maybe everybody who wants to give out the candy and stuff, maybe they should just all gather around like a football field
That would be good. Well, there's been
with
so
card
many trunk
tables
and treats over the last
with
couple
tables
years.
set
I mean,
up, and
weeks.
you could walk around the entire football field, and
Right.
on the walkway.
Well, they do it at the mall.
Well, not much else going on
And
there.
yeah, that's the truth. There's been so many trunk and treats, or
Mhm.
is it trunk or treats, whatever, over the last couple of weeks. There's been plenty of them all around. But yeah, this just being on the streets, like look in Chicago, they need to outlaw trick or treat.
They just need to outlaw Chicago.
Because they can't control the criminals.
No, no. Criminals are out of control.
Yeah, way
Crime
out
is
of
out of
control.
control
Yes, it
because we ain't
is.
doing nothing about it.
Right.
I'm going to get on a rampage here again.
Uh-oh, go ahead.
Well, let's go to West Coast. Let's go to the speaker's house.
Oh, you're gonna start hitting it hard. Okay, go ahead.
The hits just will not stop in the attack on House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul. 42-year-old David DePape told investigators that he planned to kidnap the speaker and would break her kneecaps if he thought she was lying to him. The investigation shows that DePape broke into the Pelosi home about 2 o'clock in the morning last Friday. The speaker was still in Washington, but the intruder first confronted, then fought with Mr. Pelosi over a hammer, then hit the 82-year-old man with the hammer as police were arriving on scene. Pelosi suffered a fractured skull and will make a full recovery, thank goodness.
Yes,
DePape's charges are mounting. They include attempted murder, assaulting an elderly citizen, burglary, and federal charges of attempting to kidnap the family of a federal official. You're done, dude. Good.
Absolutely.
You're done. Go. See ya.
I don't think California's going to honor that catch and release or
That won't
no
happen.
bail. You go
Too
ahead and go
bad.
home.
These are federal offenses. Got the FBI
Right.
investigating.
Yeah, sure. These are definitely federal. Well, I don't know. All the muck on social media continues.
Well, police found zip ties, tape, rope,
Yeah.
gloves, and a journal.
Right. On a journal.
What? Before the assault, after DePape entered the home, Mr. Pelosi told police that the intruder wanted to see Representative Pelosi. His wife was told that she was out of town and wouldn't return for several days. DePape told Pelosi that it was okay. He'd just stay at the house until she got there. Really?
Let's make coffee, right?
The elderly Pelosi managed to get away for a little bit. He went to the bathroom. Called the police from the bathroom. If convicted of the charges, DePape could face 50 years in prison on the combined charges in both state and federal court. That's not enough. This guy has a real serious problem. First of all, he's an illegal alien. Did you know that?
Yes, I saw
From
that.
Canada.
And I said, go figure
for 20
that.
years he's been living in this country. 20 years he's been living here.
Well, I just wonder if
Illegally.
there's certain people now, elected officials, that may change their stance
No,
on
they won't.
illegal aliens,
No,
illegal immigrants.
They won't.
Right. Well, there's a second thought. Look at sometimes you don't think about these things until it affects you.
Yeah. Well.
And then it's like, well, I see a different side of it now.
And then in California again, a man has been arrested, charged with murdering a father and his adult daughter in broad daylight in a shopping center's parking lot.
Oh, no.
54-year-old Ken Evans and his 22-year-old daughter McKenna were stabbed to death. An as yet unidentified male was arrested by Los Angeles County deputies. Apparently, the guy and the victims all lived in their cars. McKenna, in the days leading up to the tragedy, she's 22 now, posted on her social media account that she was hoping that the family social worker could get help and find them a real home to live in.
My goodness. There's just so much
meanness, just pure evil.
Pure evil everywhere.
I don't know. Do you Were you following any of the accounts of gunfire at the Duplin County ball game last Friday?
Yes, I
It
was.
got a guy.
Yes, they arrested him.
Mhm. High school football game between Wallace Rosehill and James Keenan last Friday night. 25 seconds left in the game. Gunfire created a lot of concern for safety, and the last seconds of that game were put on hold until the following night when only the players and officials could be on the field, period. Then Sunday, detectives with the Duplin Sheriff's Office arrested 20-year-old Rajan Faison from Warsaw. Multiple counts, including discharging a firearm, inciting a riot, carrying a concealed firearm on school property, and disorderly conduct. He remains behind bars on bonds totaling $100,000. No motives yet have been established. No one was hurt. Why didn't they charge him with being underage carrying that gun?
He's a punk.
He's a puke.
He's a punk. Oh, let's get out there and just act like big man and fire off
25
around.
seconds. So they had to play the game Saturday night. And honestly, I didn't even check to see who won Saturday night.
I don't remember either. I know they did the game, but I don't remember who won.
2 teenagers, 1 gun. That's how the story starts. The 19-year-old is in jail. The 17-year-old is dead. It happened in Kinston. Dontavion Knight, 19, faces a charge of involuntary manslaughter and is in jail under a $12,500 bond. The victim's name has not been released. Police say the death resulted from an accidental discharge of the gun.
Oh yeah. Why did you have the gun?
Again, neither was old enough to have the gun legally.
You're absolutely correct. Punk. I'm sorry, but I'm tired of these kids that feel like they have to carry guns and fire at people. It's gotten to the point you don't feel safe in your own home anymore at times sometimes. I don't like sitting by the front windows anymore.
No, absolutely not.
I'm gonna have to rearrange.
We're in the back part of the house.
Right. Well, I used to be, but then I changed rooms around, and now I'm in the front part of the house, which the back part was pretty much connected to the front part. But still, sometimes when you hear things outside, you're just like, do I need to get down?
Yeah,
off the couch, drop to the floor.
How about bulletproof glass? Maybe that's going to have to become
I think,
normal.
Well, there's
Maybe
a house
it's going to have to be inspections that the inspections department is going to require you to have bulletproof glass.
Do you remember? Are you familiar with that house on 17 South in the Verona area that has bulletproof glass up on there?
Really?
And it's been there for years. And the story is many, many years ago, a drive-by shooting, and shot out their windows, and so they have bulletproof glass up there.
Wow!
It's been there for years and years and years.
Told you yesterday about the bridge that collapsed in India Sunday. The death toll has risen to at least 134. Yesterday, police arrested 9 people in connection with the collapse and the deaths.
Yes.
Those arrested included security guards, ticketing clerks, and managerial staffers.
For being irresponsible.
The 143-year-old pedestrian bridge recently reopened after extensive repairs had been completed. Investigators indicated that the passenger bridge had too many people on it at the same time. It was overcrowded, overloaded, and these other people, I guess you have to pay to go across the bridge or something. I don't know. And all these people, after it reopened, had been closed for many, many, many months. And they all wanted to be one of the first to cross, I guess. Man. Coming up at 7:30, our congressman going to join us this morning. Going to talk about something that has caught my attention last week. He brought it to my attention last week up in New York City.
Wow.
Where there are cops there. Well, we know there are cops there, but these cops are from the Communist Party in China. They're from the government in China, working in New York, not for our police department, but on their own. What is with that?
What is with that?
He's going to have to explain that.
Yes, I'm anxious to hear about
He
this.
and at least 20 other congressmen are not are happy campers. Good. I'm glad.
I would not be either.
No, something's really, 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 really wrong. I think you're going to have to explain to me why that's not illegal. You're operating here on our soil as operatives from a foreign government
Yeah,
and not working for us.
it's very, very strange to say the least. I just can't even. I'm just anxious to hear what he's got to say and what's coming out of their request
Yeah,
for
well,
information.
DOJ has been requested to get involved, and why they haven't been involved already, I don't know.
Right.
What's going on with that? What's up with that? We can't even keep them. We cannot even keep the. I cannot call them illegals. If they're operating in this country illegally, then they are illegals.
Well, we've discussed quite a bit on the show about how China's slowly taken over the United
Not
States,
even slowly anymore.
buying farms
Outright.
and buying
Smithfields.
corporations and everything. I don't know.
It's
If you look at your clothes, look at your
oh
shoes, look at
yeah,
all
I
your
know.
stuff made in China. Why are we allowing this?
Um,
We close all our factories are closed.
yeah,
People out of work because China's making everything now.
yeah, because the people are forced into labor in China and they work for
Right.
peanuts, so it's
Yes.
not a big deal.
Right.
They any profit, any money that they make is profit.
It's craziness.
Their
Absolutely
overhead is
craziness.
nothing. People's rights, their humanity, just okay, we'll take a break. You're live and local, Real Talk Freedom, 97.1, 1120 a.m. WSME. Don't go away. We'll be right back. And we're back for your boating and fishing needs. There's one place in Jacksonville that should be on your radar. Tideline Marine and Family with fishing lures and other tackle that professional local guides use and recommend. For boaters who want to take care of routine servicing on their outboards, Tideline carries oil and filters along with fuel filters, plus Champion and NGK spark plugs. If you're not comfortable handling your own service work, not a problem. A team of factory trained and certified technicians waiting for you. Along with that, unlike the last couple of years when new boats and motors simply were not available, Tideline has Lund boats that are great for the shallow waters of the White Oak and New Rivers, along with Aquasport Bay boats plus Mercury outboards in stock right now. If you haven't been in the store recently, you'll see some great changes there. Stop in. Tideline Marine, 159 Old Bridge Street on the banks of the New River in downtown Jacksonville. Winds today out of the southwest. When the winds are from the west, the fishing is best around 10 knots, seas 3 to 5 offshore, 2 to 3 near shore. Dominant period 7 seconds. Sounds and rivers only a light chop. 180-degree shift in offshore winds for tomorrow coming from the northeast. The northeasterly winds 10 to 15 knots, seas 3 to 4, except around 2 feet near shore. Sounds and rivers a moderate chop. And on Thursday, northeasterly winds 15 to 20, seas 3 to 5 feet.
And today, a chance of showers and thunderstorms, partly sunny with a high near 79. Light and variable wind becoming west around 6 miles per hour in the morning. Chance of rain is at 30%. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 56 with a light north wind. Wednesday, partly sunny with a high near 74. Wednesday night, mostly cloudy with a low around 54. And Thursday, partly sunny with a high near 72.
Well, Kelly
Yes.
seemed to have had an exciting evening last night. She's sending us some messages in.
I know it.
Somebody shows up at the door and they were adults and they were dressed in strange garb, and one of them carrying a military style bag, and they're collecting candy with thick Russian accents.
Very strange.
Anybody else have strange? Who had some really? Anybody have really strange visitors last night other than Kelly?
That's why I don't do it by myself. Like I say, the neighbors, some of us, we neighbors, we get
Yeah.
together and we sit together and we have a blast. I mean, we had hot dogs and chili and
Hot dogs and chili on a
apple
very warm
pie
evening.
and
Oh,
yes.
did you have any ice cream to go with that apple pie?
No, we had whipped cream.
Oh,
But yeah, I know.
not
But
the same. I like ice cream with apple
and
pie.
we catch up on all the neighborhood news, and I have great neighbors. I really do. I
That's
have
good.
great neighbors.
I do too, but we just didn't have any trick or treaters
Well,
again.
next year, I guess I'm gonna have to go sit with Kelly.
Y'all want to buy some candy? I got plenty of it left.
You should give it away. Yes.
All right. Good morning. Who's this?
Good morning. It's Jason Dedman.
Hello,
Good morning,
Jason. How are you,
Jason.
sir?
I didn't see any trick-or-treaters. By the time I got home, Halloween was over.
Well, I was there all day, and Halloween was over before it got started.
They were out there last night, Jason.
Okay. Yeah, my son went with one of his friends that's on the soccer team and his dad, so he still had a good time.
How's the turnout?
I need Lee's help this morning because I'm on the road on the way there.
I
Okay.
have it up. I checked it as of through today's Tuesday, so this is through Saturday because it's always
okay.
a day
We
behind.
don't have yesterday's.
Oh, we don't have yesterday's yet, but total votes cast through Saturday were 12,381.
And we have
So-
111,000 registered voters.
Yes, 117,000. So we
117,000
just cracked the 10%.
Yep.
We just cracked the
Yeah.
10%. So, 117,882 registered voters as of October 2022 in Onslow County. So, what surprises me, and we were talking about this yesterday, is mostly your older people. The
Yeah.
average age is 65 years of age. The younger ages between 18 and 51 are very low in numbers. So, that's where we need to concentrate on in the future is our younger generation.
Well, you're going to have to break
Right.
it down and maybe some pictures or something like that on the ballot so
stop
so that the young people could read.
My gosh. No,
Hey! Now I'm 45 and I voted.
yeah, see, there you are. And it is interesting because the females outvoted the males so far
Mhm.
by
Yes,
about.
yes. The females always outvote the males.
Yeah.
The males
Doesn't that
think
tell you
they're in
something?
charge, but we're not.
Yeah, and I did just drilled down to a lot of other statistics on it as far as the race and the sex and the
I think
age.
the
So
Commons is leading as far as
yes,
turnout, right?
yes, they've had about 4,400 voters, and the Board of Elections comes in second place with 2,030. So
Okay.
Yeah,
people
and
love
then
going to
the other
Commons.
three are about even, huh?
Yes, they are right about 18, close to 1,700 each. Yes.
Okay.
Now you do have the ones that mailed in your ballots, but
Still
yeah,
fewer
I
than a
was
thousand.
surprised. Yes,
Yeah,
because
we have another meeting for that tonight. If anybody wants to come out and watch, as a public
right,
meeting,
right,
6 o'clock.
yes. I tell you what, you learn a lot. You learn a lot by it too. But yeah, I kind of figured that maybe the ballots by mail would be higher than what they are.
No, not with the price of postage.
Well, that's true. Now, don't be knocking the post
Oh,
office.
I got more to talk about the post office.
Oh
Oh,
no.
yeah, I do.
Oh no.
Well, today is your last Tuesday to vote before Election Day.
That's
Mhm.
right. Absolutely right.
Yeah.
So the early voting ends on Saturday at 3 p.m. You got between now and Saturday. Polls open at 8 o'clock. They close at what time, Monday through Friday?
7:30, sir.
You know, you got no excuse. I mean, you may come up with an excuse, but you got no reason. If you want to vote early, there's no way in the world you cannot vote. You just have to put a little bit of gas in your car and go to one of those five polling places here in Oslo County.
You can go
Duh.
on, yeah, go online, request a ballot. I mean, the convenience is there, so there's no excuse.
Well, you can request a ballot.
And today
as
is
of today.
today's
Yes,
Yep.
today's the last
today's
day.
November 1st, so today's the last day. Yep.
Right, and then you have until what time on election day to get it back in?
Well, if you get it postmarked on Election Day,
Right,
but if you bring it back to us by 5 p.m.
right, right.
Yep. And
Okay.
you know, like you said with the gas, with the way my board put 5 sites out there
Yep.
for the county, you don't
Right.
have to get a whole lot of gas no matter where you live.
There you go.
That's right.
Jason, we got Congressman Murphy on the line. So we're going to
Okay.
bid you so long. We'll talk to you tomorrow. How's
Yes,
that?
sir.
All right.
We'll
Thank you,
check
sir.
in later. Have
All
a good one.
Bye-bye. Dr. Murphy, sir, how are you?
I'm well. Sorry, I was having a little technological difficulty.
Making the coffee.
Who's over there with you, Kelly?
No, it's Lee.
We got Lee here in here today.
Oh, hey, good morning, Lee. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well, and I hope you are too. I hear you're working hard for
In
us.
Miami? I'm trying.
I know.
I'm playing a little doctor for a little bit this morning.
Yeah,
That's
you
what
know,
Rayford was
Do my-
telling us.
I was telling the folks that I didn't expect to get a call while I'm sitting there in my ham radio shack on Sunday afternoon. And I looked down and it says, Greg Murphy's calling me. He's got some bad news about my physical condition or something. No,
No.
turns out you had actually not you had patients yesterday, but not those that come into the office. You had to cut them open, right?
Yeah, I had the OR, and I don't think my staff. They just block out time when I'm going to play doctor. They just don't know what it is, and when I do that, I usually have to start at 6:45. So
Wow.
anyway,
But I
it's
appreciate
all good.
I appreciate the notice and appreciate being able to reschedule so quickly.
Yeah, great.
Doctor, you sent out something last week, or your staff sent out a release last week that got my attention, and I'm like, no, this is not possible.
Right.
You and about 20 or so of your colleagues in the House have sent a letter to DOJ, Homeland Security, and you're a little bit unhappy about some foreign intervention, and it's not coming across the southern border. It's coming from China, and they're working in New York City as cops, not for the city of New York, but for the Communist Communist Party. What is this about?
Right. And guys, you wake up every day, or you go to sleep and you say, this administration could not do or allow anything more stupid than what it did today. And then you wake up the next day and find what else has been done. And so, the Chinese Communist Party now has established in our own country police departments to watch their communist citizens.
That's illegal.
In other words, It is absolutely illegal, and the administration knows about it. I truly, I'm just starting to, and again, I'm not a crazy extremist. What do they call it? The theory, crazy theory person, but conspiracy theorist is that I just, I have to wonder, especially with Hunter and with Biden, what the administration, what China has over this administration, that they allow China to run roughshod through this country. So yeah, they have individuals in this country who are basically policing their own citizens who are in this country, on visas or et cetera, working at universities or doing whatever. So it's absolutely absurd. It's absolutely absurd.
In a law enforcement capacity, that is totally 198% illegal to do that in this country. A foreign police
Exactly
department
right.
cannot operate in this country, period.
Absolutely. But it's also that this administration has absolutely disregarded the laws at the southern border. It's absolutely told so many of its district attorneys and prosecutors not to obey the law. I think, gosh, a week from today, guys, I thought in June we were going to have this big wave, and then the Roe v. Wade decision, it took a big hit because, abortion, 60% of people in this country are in favor of abortion in some form or another, not up to the birth canal, but generally runs around 20 weeks. But then with so many of these other things, the economy and everything, it's going to be a tidal wave. It will be a tidal wave. And so, of course, what did the Democrats do? They changed the narrative. As Nancy said, don't talk about inflation. I don't want to talk about inflation. Now they say it's an attack on democracy. Good Lord, when they're one-party rule, that want to establish essentially a socialist single party, they're the ones who are attacking democracy. And so I think it will be a pretty resounding red next week.
If it's not, I will be totally amazed. I've been shocked before, surprised a few times, but I just cannot see why. Even if I was a Democrat, I would be so disillusioned with the party that I'd either stay home or I'd have to vote another way. Just no way.
Yeah,
couldn't do it.
I just don't get it. I mean, if this administration and this party has gone haywire, and why still people vote that way? Some don't like Trump, and I get it.
I get it. I don't like him either.
But it goes to show that, despite what some people think, Trump is not the party.
Nope.
And you can't vote. We have a party. We don't have a single individual. And we have a party that proposes and represents ideals. And the Democratic Party has just left the rails and just gone south. And it's just insane.
Have you had a response from DOJ about the Chinese invasion?
No, sir. And honestly speaking, I don't expect one. I will be surprised if we get one. I got a discussion the other night about term limits, and this discussion always comes up. And I think it's a good idea, but to be very honest with you, it has to be for everybody. Number one, it can't just be for the good people who understand the Constitution and everything. It has to be for everybody. Pelosi's been there for 29 years. God forbid Biden's been there for 50?
50 years.
But the real swamp of Washington, D.C. is not the elected officials. It's not the elected officials. It's the agencies. It's the DOJ. It's the CIA. It's the FBI. It's the IRS. It's all those agencies where you have career agency workers who are like, well, I don't really care what the law says. I'm going to kind of either slow go it, or I'm going to, do what I want to do anyway. And so that's the true swamp. It's the bureaucracy. CMS, for example, the one that I've had to deal with a lot just as a physician. They have grown into this self-propagating organism where there's rule after rule after rule. And then, you have to hire people to enforce the rule, or you make further proposals to the rule. I'd love to go over there and cut the workforce drastically. And, in good old Trump's terms, which was great, for every new regulation, you got to cut two. And it's just absolutely insane as far as what the medical world has had to go through. So
I thought inspectors, home inspectors, those working for a city or a county, I thought those were tough groups of people.
Yeah, they are.
They're pussycats. They really are. They're easy to deal with. As long as you follow the written rule, whatever the rules are that have been established, you're good to go. But these other guys, they don't even follow their own rules. DOJ, Homeland Security, oh my God. And then the FBI. You've got too many politicians that get appointed to be in charge of agencies like the FBI, the CIA. What's wrong with this picture?
Well, John Legato gave me a book about the CIA, and about Comey, and I've not been able to get all the way through it.
It's a great book.
It's just quite interesting.
Yes.
It's quite interesting. I need to. I owe him a letter and everything, but it's just quite interesting. The guy was as crooked, as absolutely crooked as could be, and here he is in the highest criminal office. We look at what happened here in North Carolina. Josh Stein, our Attorney General, gets indicted, gets a grand jury indictment for criminal charges, and then a Democratic judge dismisses them.
Mhm.
If you don't call that fraud, I don't know what it is. So,
I'm just
interesting times.
I'm getting really confused. And he's going to run for governor in 2 years on the Democrat side, of course.
Yeah.
I think our lieutenant governor is going to kick his butt.
I think so too.
That should not be a
It's going to be a
problem.
challenge there. It's going to be a
It'll be a
challenge
challenge.
there. So,
Yes.
A lot of that's going to depend upon the way the political winds blow between now and then. And I think, though, after this midterm, if it goes the way that even the Democrats fear it's going to go, it should be some fairly smooth sailing, as long as the leaders in the House, the U.S. House, and the Senate, as long as they get up there and they maintain their dignity and they get some stuff done in spite of the
well, there's going to, I will
problem.
tell you, guys, there's going to be a big, big push to go right back after, like Adam Schiff, who's the world's biggest pathological liar, or Eric Swalwell, who is sleeping with a Chinese spy. My God. And there's going to be a big appetite for doing that. And while I thoroughly understand it, and I agree with it, I also want us to get back to the work of the people, damn it. Pass legislation that's actually going to help the economy, stop this reckless spending, which is what's been happening and causing a great part. There's going to be a big, huge problem with diesel fuel really in the next few weeks.
Oh my gosh.
In the next few weeks.
And
Multifactorial.
And the trickle down effect from increase in diesel fuel, we're going to have to pay for toilet paper, higher prices, because it's got to get to the grocery store one way or the other. Food, forget about it. You better go find some ramen noodles.
I was telling Rayford, I went to the grocery store past Friday and I was so depressed. I just walked around and looked at the prices on foods and things that I normally bought over the years. They're $2 to $3 higher. It was so depressing.
Yeah.
I don't know how some people can even afford to eat.
And if you like meat, forget about it.
Yeah, I'll just about become a vegetarian.
Well,
Well, it's interesting. I love to walk by the fresh seafood aisle because I love the smell of it.
Oh yeah.
I never. I rarely buy it. My wife doesn't let me go to the supermarket very much. There's a good reason for that. I come home with chips and cookies, but that's a different thing.
yes, doctor.
But I walked by and I saw this lobster tail. I saw
Oh,
this lobster tail, and I was like, "Oh wow, that looks good." $39 a pound.
I know.
$39 a pound.
I watched
And,
that too. It's scary.
Well, you can't. You're not going to be able to buy snow crab legs this year because they're
No.
not allowing them to be harvested.
Mhm.
What?
Yeah, I don't know if you heard about that, but
I did.
the populations have been decimated for some reason over the last year. But in everything, guys, we'll go back to the diesel fuel. Everything is going to go skyrocket.
It is.
And
No.
I saw gas for the first time under $3, and who knows when. But that is just going to be very temporary. It's going to skyrocket soon.
Sure.
And some of it, and let's give appropriate credit where credit is due, and blame where it's due. Some of that is out of Biden's hands, but a great deal of it is directly related to his actions. I will say, and I have said, and I'll say this forever. I thoroughly believe that the Ukrainian conflict started in Afghanistan. Let's look at Crimea. Crimea happened when Obama was in office. Nothing happened with Putin during Trump's administration. And then Afghanistan happened, and Putin said, now's the time to act. We have a weak president.
Yep.
Everybody said, oh, Trump was buddy-buddy with Putin. Well, the way he negotiates, and he did the same thing with North Korea's leader. He goes up and said, I'll be your friend, but if you do these things, I'll blow you off the face of the earth. He's very matter of fact about it. And the thing is, they knew he would do it. And so instead of just the weakness of Biden. So if you think about all the things that have happened because of Ukraine, cutting off finally Russian gas and oil. This is one of the main reasons we're having the diesel problem.
Yeah.
You look at fuel, you look at wheat, you look at so many of the other things that are going on because of what's happening in Ukraine, how it's directly affecting the American people is a direct consequence of what Biden did in his dereliction of duty in Afghanistan.
Doctor, you got Thanksgiving plans?
I'm gonna show up. They don't let me in the kitchen very much. So my wife, she cooks a wonderful turkey and oyster stuffing and all those good things. So hopefully we're getting our family all together and have a wonderful meal. We have a lot to be thankful for.
We do.
I know where he lives.
Hey,
You ready for a trip?
We'll be there for leftovers. How's that?
We're coming for leftovers.
That's great. That's great. That's great.
Dr. Murphy, thank you for your time, sir. Thank you for your service.
Yes, thank you.
All right, guys. Thank you.
You
God bless. Have a great day.
You,
All right,
you
you
too.
too.
Keep up the good work. Let's take a break. You're live and local Real Talk, and we'll be right back. We're going to change gears here for just a little bit. We got a couple of systems out there in the tropical area. One down, way down in the Caribbean, and moving westward. Not likely to impact us as a tropical anything. Headed for Central America, and it's going to make landfall in Central America. It's called Lisa, Tropical Storm Lisa, and you got some winds, but it's going to be short lived. Once it makes landfall, it could become a system. Some of the weather guys say it could become a system, a non tropical system. But we got stuff coming from the west. If it goes up to the north a little bit, picks up, like we've had a couple of the storms to do this year,
Right.
and gets into the United States and moves northeastward, we could get rain, whatever. We're not going to get tropical force winds
Right.
or tropical rain or anything like that. So we're approaching the end of the tropical season anyway. It doesn't mean storms can't come in afterwards. We've had that happen before. Hurricane conditions are possible in the Bay Islands of Honduras early tomorrow and along the coast of Belize tomorrow afternoon. Hurricane watch is in effect there already. Tropical storm conditions expected along portions of the north coast of Honduras, where the tropical storm warning has been issued. A tropical storm watch is in effect for the Caribbean coast of Guatemala and the southeastern Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico, where tropical storm conditions are possible beginning Wednesday afternoon. Flash flooding, that's going to be about the biggest thing, probably the strongest winds. It could reach hurricane force sometime tomorrow afternoon. Could have winds of 80 miles per hour
Right.
as it makes landfall. But that's going to be pretty much it. In 4 days is gone,
Right.
dissipated.
I told you I was listening to some of the weathermen this morning
Mhm.
talking, and they're predicting possibility of 10 days from now, remnants of that coming up
Yeah.
our coast. But I'm like, we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, it's too early to make those kinds of
I would think
predictions.
so too.
Those are TV weather guys making predictions.
Yes. Well, they don't worry about being wrong.
No,
They
no,
still have a
that's
job tomorrow.
yeah, and they get a raise too.
They still get paid.
Shower and thunderstorm activity has increased and become better organized overnight in association with a non-tropical area of low pressure located several hundred miles northeast of Bermuda. Thank goodness, is east and northeast of Bermuda. Maybe that's on the good side of Bermuda.
Oh.
Bad side for the storm. Environmental conditions appear conducive for additional development, however, and the system is likely to become a tropical or subtropical storm in the next couple of days. It's going to be moving northeastward. That's going to be going away from Bermuda, away from pretty much any landmass. And as long as it continues going there, maybe Scotland might find something, but it'll just go away before that happens.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what, it's Mother Nature plays this trick on
Mm.
us, and we get some kind of storm system
No.
come here. It's tropical.
No.
We're gonna have to hunt Mother Nature down and have a talk with her.
Blanket party.
Yes. We're gonna have to give her something to get her hormones under
Mhm.
control because look, we're nearing the end. We have one more month to go.
That's right.
Hurricane
Let's
season.
get
So
rid of this mess.
yes.
There are a couple of things we could talk about in the upcoming hour during 8 o'clock. One of those is going to be the U.S. Postal Service.
No.
Oh, yeah.
We're talking about my people.
Yeah, they're warning us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Postal Inspection Service. They're saying with the holiday season upon
Right.
us,
Yes.
don't put your mail in those blue mailboxes that are not inside a post office unless you do it just before the postal guys come by to collect them, because people are stealing stuff. They're breaking into mailboxes.
Believe me, there's not much mail in those boxes.
I know that, but
Very
some
little
people,
mail.
as we approach the holiday season, they will send gift cards. They will send all
Oh, yes,
sorts of
well.
stuff through the mail.
Oh, sure.
So they're warning us not to do that. Don't do it on a weekend,
Right.
and don't do it after the late at night after the guy's already made his pickup.
Well, I can tell
On
you,
the front of every one of those boxes,
it
it's got
tells
the
you what
pickup
time is the
times,
final
okay?
pickup for the day.
So do not do it after then. Wait till the next day.
That's
do it.
right.
Or better yet, if you work in a business, just take your outgoing mail and put it in the outgoing mail at the business.
That's
It's
right.
okay. They don't care.
They'll come in and pick it up.
And their mail carriers will pick it up there. Or there's a thing called a post office.
That's right.
brick and mortar. They got
Yeah,
them all over the
well,
place.
I will tell you though, if you're in a business and you own a business or you work a business and you have outgoing mail, if the mailman does not have mail for you that day, he's
Mhm.
not required to go in and see if you have mail to go out.
No, he don't. They don't do that. Oh,
Nope,
well,
they don't. I would tell you most of them do.
yeah,
They're not
because
supposed to,
for
but
businesses, but they don't have a problem with that.
right. No, they don't.
A lot of the mail though that goes out, especially if it's a package or whatever, it's you send a little
Right.
notice when you put your stuff on it. You
Yes.
can do it from your home too, by the way.
Yes, and it's better to do it that way. Just don't guess and put a bunch of stamps on a
No,
package
no, no,
because
no, no, no.
it's gonna get marked as a suspicious package when you do that.
Really?
And yes, there's rules
You mean
about that. Anything over a pound
Uh-huh.
that you're mailing, you have to take in person to the post office, or you have to give it to the carrier.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
we have to worry about suspicious packages, and
Oh,
there's lessons to be learned on that
there
one.
you
So
go. So anyway, those are just some stuff in there. Um, and so we'll talk a little bit more about that and other things too when we come back. Um, the there's all sorts of breaking news happening, and I'm looking at it right now. So the big thing up there in Pennsylvania, election wise, is going to be one of the more interesting races, I guess, in the
oh
country.
yes.
And of course, our Senate race here is one of the more uninteresting races in the country, according to pretty much everybody. And it shouldn't be that way.
Right.
You're live and local, Real Talk, Freedom 97.1, 1120 AM, WSME. Want to chat? Now's your time, 910-333-0139. We'll be back in 60. And as 801, welcome back to Live and Local. Our number, want to chat, 910-333-0139, 910-333-0139. Got it? Reports have leaked out. Oh boy. Telling how
boy.
President Biden started shouting at Ukraine's President Vladimir Zelensky during a June telephone call.
Whoa.
They got into a scuffle on the phone. Biden had called Zelensky to tell him that he had secured $1 billion to help the country with its war with Russia. Zelensky, we're told, was not grateful enough and listed more needs. The two leaders engaged in a shouting match, with Biden telling Zelensky that the American public had been very generous. Shortly after the call, the Ukrainian president released a video thanking the U.S. for its contributions. The White House denied that there was a shouting match, saying that Biden was very direct with his comments, but he didn't shout at him. The two presidents have apparently worked out whatever differences they had, and American taxpayers have coughed up tens of billions of additional dollars to aid Ukraine. Oh, goody. Good morning. Who's this?
Hey guys, how y'all doing this
Hey,
morning,
Steve.
Steve?
Good
How are
morning,
you?
Steve.
Oh, doing pretty good, man. Hope y'all had a good weekend and all.
No, so far, so good.
And I got already good week so far as we're getting
Yes.
into it.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm on my second Monday, I guess.
well, we've only got 1 week that we have to worry about. Get through this week, and then, well, we probably have to worry about it after that too. We got 1 more week to go.
Yeah, one more week of this voting mess.
And by the way, next week, beginning Monday, we come on an hour later.
Oh, here we go. You're going to confuse everybody with that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, you don't need to do that. That's not good for business.
Well, we do. It will be an
It's
hour
still
later.
7 to 9.
Right.
It'll still be 7 or 9, but it's an hour later.
I hear you. You know what? Somebody told me that the sun don't have a clock. It comes up and goes down when it wants to every day.
It does.
That's
There's not a doubt about it.
very true.
You know, and when I was young and when I grew up on a farm, clocks were irrelevant.
You
You know what I mean? You went to work
get up.
when you went to work when the sun come up, and you stopped when it went down.
Yeah, in the summertime, that was a really long time.
Yeah, it was. I agree. Wanted to call in this morning, Dr. Greg Murphy. He seems to always ruffle my feathers, man. I don't know what it is about that guy nowadays.
Well, he's
You
got-
need to sit down and meet him
he's
personally.
got your number. He's
Right.
doing it.
He does,
intentionally.
man. I'll give him that. He does. You know, I'm glad y'all had him on the show talking several times because I was actually pretty much I was going to vote for him, and I've changed my mind on that for sure.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah,
the next time
um,
he's in the area and he has an event, I'm taking you to meet him.
I want to go meet him. I do.
Okay.
I want to meet him, but
I'm gonna
honestly,
do that.
because what he presents himself to me on your radio show is that he bases a lot of his opinions on borderline conspiracy theories. You know, I mean, even when he said this morning about the attorney general that was indicted and then a Democratic judge dismissed it.
Mhm.
Okay, what were the merits of the case, man? I mean, before you jump to this, you know, conspiracy thing where a Democrat just threw it out for no reason, you know, I got questions about that. And maybe he did, but that ain't what he was trying to say. He was just trying to say just because it was a Democrat, it was corrupt.
Well,
So, I mean-
I'll have to look into the case a little bit. I will. I don't even know
Right.
what the case was. I do know that there was a grand jury investigation.
And
all
the
of this-
grand
Right,
jury,
right.
A
And he
grand
was
jury,
indicted.
and the grand jury
Yeah.
indicted him. So a majority of 15 people on the grand jury had to vote to return a true bill.
right?
Now, I will
Right.
tell you something else. In North Carolina, in state court, and I'm talking about not federal court, but in state court, they're not rubber stamped, but grand juries quite often are presented just once. Well, they're always presented just one side of the case, right? That's what the prosecutor wants them to hear. We all understand that. That's, if you've ever been part of a grand jury deal, that's the way it works. There's no defense put up, very little, if any, ever. I don't recall one, to be honest with you. And if
Right.
and if the elements that are presented under oath, now you got to understand that's the way it is, presented to a grand jury, virtually all the time they're going to return a true bill. That's what they're there for.
Right.
Occasionally, there's not enough evidence that the DA can present to them under oath that shows an indictable offense has occurred.
Well,
Right, right.
Forsyth County District Attorney Jim O'Neill was running against Stein in 2020. In his complaint, he accused Stein's campaign of circulating a political ad that violated a 91-year-old libel law. This libel law was put into effect in 1931. So it's accusing him of setting aside 1,000 rape kits and delaying the processing of it. So that's when Jim O'Neill decided to take out a lawsuit against Stein and two of his aides. And there
Was
was
it a lawsuit or was it a criminal act?
criminal charges, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you're correct. Thank you for correcting me. Saying that it was false and derogatory. And the grand jury, with the evidence that was presented, felt like there was enough there to indict them. But
Okay.
of course, you go up to the U.S. courts that decided to throw the whole thing out. There's always been a lot of controversy over political ads, especially with these super PACs that put out all these political ads, and you can't touch them. Just look at what they're putting out right now on Ted Budd and Sherry Beasley. I mean, Sherry Beasley's campaign is just hammering Ted Budd right now.
Mhm.
So, and then
I'm-
look at the Sandy Smith campaign.
I'm pretty much immune to
Yes.
those ads.
Her Democratic appointment is hammering her over some past instances where involved domestic abuse. And I mean, they have court records and court documents. You think, what gives them the right to go dig up your personal information? But it's politics.
Mm.
That's the way it goes.
Well, they can dig up this public information.
That's right.
And
Yeah, my point on that one is that I imagine that that's not the only indictment that's ever been thrown out due to lack of merit.
Right.
Yeah, and I ain't saying that that's why that one was thrown out, but I'm saying that it's not that rare of an occurrence for a judge to say, no, I'm gonna throw this out. This is, this on merit.
Right.
It isn't a normal thing. Normally, grand juries indict somebody, and the judge hears the case, and it goes on through. But anyway, that's the reason why I say is that he makes these comments, but he doesn't follow through with the facts you need to really make form an honest opinion on what happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's just hyperbole. And just like the thing with Trump, where all the bad actors in the world were scared of Trump, and that's why they didn't do nothing wrong while Trump was in office. Maybe so, but also maybe that Trump may have been doing their bidding by dividing America, by weakening our alliances with our allies, by trying to break down NATO. And maybe Putin invaded Ukraine right after Biden took office because he knew that was the weakest that the United Nations was ever going to be, because Biden was immediately going to start rebuilding that alliance. So I mean, you can look at it from both ways, and it seems like he only looks at it through one view. Mm. Now I'll tell you, either scenario could be true or both could be wrong. And so I don't put no more credibility on the scenario that I just gave you than I want to do the one he gave you.
Right.
We don't know. It's all
Steve.
speculation.
You're an honest man, Steve.
It's all speculation.
It is.
And that's my problem with a lot of politicians is that they want to give you speculation instead of facts. Mm-hmm. So anyway, Dr. Greg Murphy, I wish you the best, man.
I'm going to make sure you get a chance
unfortunately,
to meet him.
I'm gonna have to vote for your opponent on this one, man, because too many times he's made comments that I feel that he ain't researched his comments, and if he ain't researching his comments, I don't feel confident that he's doing a good job in Washington either.
What about his opponent? Is there that you like? Is there something specific about his opponent? Now, we've had her on the air.
Yeah, Miss Barbara.
I'll be honest with you, Rayford. I'm on the fence because I feel like that I've supported Republicans so much in the past, and I'm at a point where I feel like they've let me down, that they have moved into an area of some kind of dishonesty in their politics. I know that the Democrats do it as well, but it seems like it's something different in the Republican Party right now than what we've seen in the past from both parties. Mm-hmm. It seems like the Republican Party is embracing the extremism. Yeah. Now, I know the left has extremists as well, but they're still trying to suppress that extremism. The on the right, they're embracing it, and that's kind of, I feel like I may have to vote to try and fight back that extremism rather than have to vote on the issues, and that's a terrible place to be.
It is terrible. But again, there are people, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, that I cannot vote for. I'll tell you right up front, I cannot vote for them. On those conditions, though, I look at the other side, the other party, the other person. I've got some here in Onslow County right now. I'm looking at and saying, there's no way on God's green earth that I can vote for that person.
Well,
and some of them I've supported in the past.
Absolutely.
And I will look at it and I'll say, but
what have you done?
But at the same token, then I have to look at whoever's running against them and say, are there elements other than they're just voting against this guy? Are there elements in what this other person says that I agree with that would cause me to want to vote for him or her?
Exactly.
And if I can't find any elements there that cause me to vote for her or him, then I ain't going to vote for either one of them. That's the way that I am.
I will say I skipped.
Or I'll write in Lee Barrow's name.
Oh, no. Somebody told me they wrote me in for U.S. Senator. I was like, oh, God.
Well, honestly, from my point of view, is that I look at what's important to my community, what's important to the people around me. You know what I mean? And so that's where I'm kind of basing it at now. And what I see around our community and even from y'all is that we need to spend more money on social programs. I don't know where we're going to get it from, but only one party even cares to look to see if we can get it. look to see if we can pay for it.
Well,
There's another party that wants to just shut that down. So once I get past the part where I can't trust the man, now I'm looking at, okay, what's the issues that are important to my community? And, you know, we need more funding for schools. We need more funding for Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security. We need more funding for the VA. And these are all things that I believe y'all have expressed as well.
well, yes.
Now, where are we going to get the money from? That's a big question. You know what I mean? But out of the two parties, who even has the desire to look? You know, the Republicans, they, you know, and I understand the side of it, a small government, you know, less taxes, but there are people who need help, and that philosophy does not seem to address those needs. So, I mean, as much as I hate to say it, man, I guess I'm becoming Democrat. Man, and I hate that because, I mean, I can name off a dozen things right off the top of my head that Democrats stand for that I am totally against.
That's the reason I'm an independent.
Me too. You know, so, I mean, you know, anyway, I wanted to call this morning and vent a little bit on Dr. Murphy, and, you know, and he seems to be caught up in this Trumpism, even though he says he's not.
I don't think he is.
And I wish I had a better word for the type of political thing that's happening other than Trumpism, because I don't really think Trump is solely responsible for what's going on in the Republican Party by any means. You know, he couldn't do what he's doing if he didn't have enablers.
Well,
But
you
anyway.
know, the enablers with Trump are the ones that you see. And you know, in all reality, and again, I'm not a Republican, but in all reality, there are a whole lot of registered Republicans in this country. And I dare say that right now, I don't believe most of them want Trump. I don't think they want him back in office.
I've seen a big changeover.
I just
Absolutely.
don't. I think they have had enough. Just like I saw Democrats who had enough in the past. After Jimmy Carter, you're not as old as I am, but when Jimmy Carter,
I remember it.
when he was running for re-election, it was like, what in the name of heaven? If I'd been a Democrat, I would have been out there campaigning against him.
Right.
Yeah, and you know, and he was a weak president, but a very nice man. Another example
That
of just
does not
because
pay
somebody's a
my
nice
bills.
person don't
That's
mean they're a
right.
good leader.
Does not pay my bills.
Right. Like I say, just because a person's a good person don't mean that they're a good leader.
13%
you know?
inflation rate when he was in office.
Right.
Wow.
Absolutely.
But have y'all heard about the similar subject, but just a little left? Have y'all heard about the Reawakening America tour that's going on?
No, I heard about one in Great Britain, but not
Who's
here.
it being
Okay.
put on by?
It's being put on, I forget the actual organizers, but the speakers are Michael Flynn, Roger Stone, Mike Lindell, and Trump is sending Eric to all of these rallies. And Eric holds up a phone, calls Trump, and he speaks over a microphone from the phone and addresses the crowds. I think he's gone to one of the rallies, but
Yeah, it's Michael Flynn's Reawaken Roadshow.
yeah, the Reawaken America
Right.
tour or whatever it is. But they're going around and they're spreading the, you know, the election fraud lies, and they've actually got a group that's joined in with them that think Trump is sent by God and the Democrats are devil worshippers.
Oh my gosh.
Well, and I know you think that's funny, but I mean,
it's ridiculous.
when you watch rallies with Trump, even Republican rallies, when he starts speaking, you can see people start leaving.
Right.
You know, they are people that are not interested in that anymore.
No.
But what you need to pay attention to is the ones that don't leave, because whether they intend to or unintentionally, just like a cleric trying to find somebody to be a suicide bomber, they slowly increase their rhetoric and it weeds out all the non-true believers.
Steve,
And what you're left with is true believers.
Steve and Lee, have either one of you been to one of these, not a professional wrestling, but one of these show wrestling
Oh, I
matches?
have.
You been to them?
You know
Steve,
I
have you
have.
ever been to one?
WWE.
I loved wrestling until I went and seen it live,
Uh-huh.
and that spoiled it for me.
Yeah, it's all
it's
fake.
not wrestling. This is called wrestling, and it's a bunch of actors up there,
Yes.
and they get a crowd stirred up.
Oh, yes, they do.
I've been to them. And
Yes.
one guy that I went to support a volunteer fire department, honestly,
Right.
because they had put on this wrestling match, right?
Wrestling.
And I was over at Jacksonville High School, and I went way back in the 70s, And this one guy was so stirred up. He got up, stood up as an old guy. Well, he's younger than I am now, so I guess he was old then. But he stands up and he reaches in his pocket. He says, I got my pocket knife right here and I'm going to cut you. I'm like, really?
People get into it.
Really?
They take it seriously.
Thank God I was a cop then because I had a gun. If he pulled a pocket knife out, we'd have had
Right.
an issue.
It's all like a soap opera, but I love it. I love
I-
the stupidity of it. I love it.
Well, I don't, because it gets people stirred up, riled up, and that's just not the way we need to be.
Well, you get people like that at football games anymore.
In
No.
an entertainment or wrestling ring, that might be entertainment, but in a political arena, that is not entertainment.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And and then what they're doing, like I say, we're going around and spreading these lies to these people, and y'all know it's not true. If you don't want to call him a liar, I understand, but
I
what
don't
they're
have a
saying
problem
is not
calling a man
true.
a liar if he's a liar.
Who are we
Right.
talking about?
But
Trump.
Oh,
the more
okay.
this rhetoric is going to reach mentally unstable people,
It does.
and you're going to have situations like what you had with Nancy Pelosi's husband, and that's the irresponsibility of it.
Yeah.
You know, they're going around preaching this stuff to people, and then when those people go out and do bad things, they go, "Well, I didn't tell them to do it." Yes, you did.
Well,
I mean,
by the same token, we have gone in this country, we have let the unstable people, the mentally challenged individuals, we've given them carte blanche to walk our streets among us. We do not make them take the medication that the courts have ruled that they're going to take. We do not keep an eye on them. I tell you what, they are potentially some of the most dangerous people that we have walking our streets today. And when they mix it up with a little bit of booze and or pot or anything else, any other drugs, now we got some serious problems.
Yes, we do.
yeah. But there's the ones that fly under the radar, the ones that you've thought your whole life that were your friends and family that you thought were normal, but since Trump, you found out that their way of thinking is a little warped.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and there's that whole class of people, and when they're out there they're not talking about go out and vote and make your voice heard. They're throwing the word civil war around quite often.
Yeah, I know. I hear that.
You know, and they don't have to find but about 100,000 people that are true believers that they could have their civil war if they wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I mean, January 6th sort of be a prime example of that. People in this country can be motivated to do things that they shouldn't. Yeah. Large groups of them.
And don't forget Maxine.
She's been quiet.
I agree.
Lately.
I agree. I mean, I'm not going to deny that one, man. That's a lady that I don't agree with her type of politics either. You can call people out without being and still be dignified.
So if Maxine and Trump were running on the same for office, public office, the same public office, which one would you vote for?
Man, I didn't vote in the 2016 election. If that tells you, that'll tell you the answer to that. I didn't vote because here's my thing: is I'm not going to vote for somebody that I think is a liar, that I think's not telling the truth. And I felt like that's exactly where we were between two liars in 2016. Now, looking back in hindsight, 2020. I probably would have. I regret that I didn't vote for Hillary Clinton because of all the things Trump's done since he left office. Not necessarily what he's done while he's in office. I don't agree with a lot of that either. But what he's done since he left office is just unacceptable, and every American ought to be appalled by it.
She's pretty much done the same thing, not to justify what he's done, but
right.
There are two evil factors there.
Right.
I think they're both done. I don't think you'll ever see him run again.
And like I say, you know, I give you full credit. You know, Maxine Waters, man, she's too divisive. Once again, too divisive.
Yep.
You know, I get where she's wanting to go, but the way she's wanting to get there ain't gonna work. You got to get people to agree with you. You can't just cram stuff down people's throats.
Yep. All right, sir. Weather's next.
Well, thank y'all for so much time today. I appreciate y'all coming on the Steve show.
Checks in the mail.
All right, man. I was going to say they getting paid. I want my money back.
Don't spend it all in one place.
Well, we always enjoy the difference of opinions.
Y'all have a blessed day.
You too.
If you're live and local, Real Talk. Weather's coming up. Don't go away. We'll be right back. For your boating and fishing needs, there's one place in Jacksonville that should be on your radar. This is your must see, must stop, must shop. Tideline Marine and Family with fishing lures and other tackle that professional local guides use and recommend. For boaters who want to take care of their own routine servicing on your outboards, Tideline carries oil and filters along with fuel filters, plus Champion and NGK spark plugs. If you're not comfortable trying to do your own work, it's okay. Tideline has a team of factory trained and certified technicians waiting for you and your boat. Along with that, unlike the last couple of years when new boats and motors simply were not available, Tideline has a number of Lund boats that are great for the shallow waters of the White Oak and New Rivers in stock, and they have Aquasport bay boats, plus Mercury outboards. If you haven't been to the store recently, you'll see some great changes there. Tideline Marine, 159 Old Bridge Street, on the banks of the New River in downtown Jacksonville. Winds today out of the southwest about 10 knots, seas 3 to 5 offshore, 2 to 3 near shore. Dominant period 7 seconds, sounds and rivers a light chop. Tomorrow, coming from the northeast, winds will be 10 to 15 knots, seas 3 to 4, except around 2 feet near shore. Sounds and rivers again a moderate chop. And on Thursday, northeasterly winds 15 to 20, seas 3 to 5 feet.
And today is partly sunny with a high near 79. Light and variable wind becoming west around 6 miles per hour in the morning. Chance of rain and thunderstorms is at 30%. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low around 56 with a light north wind. Wednesday, partly sunny with a high near 74. North winds 5 to 8 miles per hour. Wednesday night, mostly cloudy with a low around 54. And Thursday, partly sunny with a high near 72.
Not bad weather.
Yeah, I love it.
Not bad
Love
weather
it.
at all.
You know, I've not had my heat or air conditioner on for the last 2 weeks. It's been nice.
Our heat may have come on at nighttime. I don't know, but here's Robbie's got it set with his automatic unit,
Yes,
whatever.
yes.
One of those
Mine
cost-saving
is
deals.
set for about 62 right now, but
Yeah.
it's not been that cold enough. And my house usually warms up to about 78, 80 degrees early evening
Mm.
because, I had the metal roof and I have a
Oh,
brick
yeah.
house.
Yep.
And so all that heats up and come early evening, that's when it all starts to come in.
all stays in. Good
Yeah,
for
it
you.
all stays in.
Yeah, I got to get some firewood this year. I haven't seen people advertising
Gum
firewood
Branch Road,
like they
that
used to.
gentleman on Gum Branch Road that sells it, he's
Oh, is
got
that
a
right?
bunch of it right
How-
up there
how-
near the you go right past not Rock Creek. Go right past Rock Creek
Okay.
and up on the left. And I think I can't remember his name. I want to say Bryant, but I'm not sure. Usually has a little farm stand up there. He's got a lot of firewood.
Oh, okay. I'll take a ride out there.
Yes.
Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas yesterday dismissed an argument from a lawyer defending race-based affirmative action policies in college admissions. The African-American justice added that he personally does not believe that diversity automatically creates better outcomes. And that's kind of what most of the Supreme Court seems to be leaning towards.
Yes, I've seen that.
Those are some kind of heavy words and will go against the grain of affirmative action organizations who have argued for decades that African American students need a helping hand in order to do well in school and in the workplace. There are people in this country too that will say, that's just racist. And it's hard to disagree with them. You want to help one race more than another race because you think they're not capable of doing it themselves. That's racism.
Yes, it is. And it works both ways too.
It does. It's either way. It's no such thing as reverse racism.
That's right.
We got some Asian Americans unhappy. They filed class action suit against University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and against, was it Harvard?
Yes, I believe
They're
so, you're
unhappy.
Right.
Because they're not getting the same kind of treatment that other races are getting. It should be equal. It should be equal across the board, not because of your numbers, but it should be equal.
I agree.
Two kids, college, high school graduates, 2 kids. One's black, one's not. They might have the same grades. They may have the same potential on paper.
It's just,
But
it's
who gets If they've only got a spot for one person, who gets it? That is the issue. It doesn't matter which one gets it.
Right. Well, they're arguing a violation of the 14th Amendment.
You kidding me? Yes, they are.
So this gets into so many aspects of the 14th Amendment. And I know they're arguing Title VI of the 1964 Civil Rights Act over this,
Mhm.
discriminating on the basis of race, color. So they're more or less saying that they're being discriminated against because a person of color has been given a better opportunity.
Mhm.
Now that's really going to be
That's gonna be a butt buster.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. You better make sure you've got some
Because you
strong
got
stuff.
two minorities
Yes, two
fighting each
minorities
other.
fighting each
Duh.
other. I don't know, Rayford.
A New York doctor facing 30 years in federal prison for his role in a $100 million fraud ring is missing.
Well, do tell.
He disappeared in the Atlantic Ocean
Oh, I was just going to say, was he on
early
a
this
boat?
month.
Oh, my goodness.
Remains unaccounted for.
Oh, my goodness.
Authorities received the report of a collision involving Dr. Marvin Moy, a passenger, and an unknown larger vessel 25 miles offshore just after midnight on Thursday, October the 13th.
I'm telling you, it's a fake death.
That's
he faked his own
Coast
death.
Guard report.
He faked his own death. This is a Lifetime movie.
Spokesman said that a passenger had been rescued from the water, but the whereabouts of the doctor and his big old boat are unknown. The Coast Guard also interviewed several larger vessels in the area, found no evidence that corroborated the story of an overnight crash. Moy is among 13 individuals indicted in January in an insurance fraud, money laundering, and bribery scheme worth $100 million. That's according to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Moy is accused of conspiring to provide unnecessary and painful, and expensive testing on patients and lying under oath to insurance companies. All this occurred between 2008 and 2021. He faced 30 years in prison on charges of conspiracy to commit healthcare fraud and money laundering. I'll just tell you right now, the Atlantic Ocean is a big body of water, and it's pretty dang deep.
Yeah, I told you they're going to make a movie out of this, and he's going to be found. He's going to be found living it up.
Down somewhere.
Yes, somewhere.
Good morning. Who's this?
Hi, good morning, Rayford and Lee. This is Chris.
Hello, Chris.
Hi,
how are you
Chris.
doing?
How are you? How's Kathy?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Doing good. Glad to be able to call in for a change.
Well, great.
And I listened to Steve's comments. I just want to throw in a few of mine. One, I'll be glad when the elections are done so we can stop listening and seeing negative ads. I'd like to see a politician run and get on TV, get their spokespeople on TV that says what they're going to do if elected. Not, well, this person did this, this person did this, this person did this. No one ever says what they're going to do for the citizens. Nobody.
They don't harp on it, that's for sure.
No, it's mudslinging. It's mudslinging.
I stand for this. I stand for that. And then, by the way, did you hear what my opponent did? 1974?
Exactly. And it'll never happen in my lifetime. It's way too past that to go. But when I do talk to people about things, I like to remind them what Ben Franklin stated at the Constitutional Convention. I don't know, Rayford, you may remember this.
I was there.
You probably, I'm not going to comment on that one. But he told the Continental Congress that public servants should not be paid a salary because for paying for a civil service, our government would be made of wise, not the wise and the moderate, but the men fittest for trust instead of the bold and the violent, the men of strong passions. And that if you gave them a modest salary, that would not last long. Think about how long ago he said that and how true it is now.
It's totally true.
Even local level.
What concerns me? Doesn't concern me. There are situations where there are certain individuals who are in office that they actually still work their job, their regular job. I admire them.
Yes.
I admire them. They got money because they work for it. The pitiful, like in Congress, $174,000 or whatever it is now. That's a pittance based upon the money that they already make. And while they're even when they're still in office, they're making their salary, not their living off the government payroll, off my payroll, but they're still working and they're still making money. Those people, I can respect those people because that $174,000 is not going to get them rich. They're already rich.
Oh yeah, there's I researched some of it, and I want to say half of the people in the House and the Senate are millionaires.
Oh yes, they are. They are.
Okay, now AOC was a waitress. Now
she was a bartender.
Yeah, and I don't think she goes back to work. She wants more money to cover her expenses of living where she's living.
Sure, she does.
Yeah.
And my
she's
other
not
problem,
the only one. She's not really. She's
no,
not
no,
the only one.
No, but she's one of the bigger names that
Yeah.
that everybody has. But is the media? That's the biggest problem. Is your major networks now? And I'm going to give you one for example. And my gut tells me Lee heard this or has seen it, and Rayford, you probably have too. Chuck Schumer being caught on the hot mic.
Yes.
One network covered it, CNN.
Yep.
And I don't watch them, by the way, but they covered it and they showed it. And he's sitting there telling Biden, well, the Pennsylvania debate, we did okay. But can you believe they're going to, Georgia's voting for Herschel Walker? But did the networks cover that?
Nope.
No. And so I think what's happening is people, when they go to vote, need to understand what they're voting for and who they're voting for. And I know they're bringing up the abortion issue.
Yeah.
We all know, or those that have had the knowledge of it, know that for the Supreme Court's ruling to be overturned, it's going to take an act of Congress, a real act of Congress, to overturn it. It's not, if I vote for this person, they're going to overturn it. Mm-hmm. And, they're trying to turn it back over to the states. Okay, I have no problem with that. Where I stand on abortion is my stance, and I don't have to go public with it. No one does.
That's right.
But they can't pick one. People should not go out there and pick just one issue and say, I'm voting for this person because they stand for this on this one issue. They need to look at the whole picture of where we're at right now as a society, as a country. We're weak. I know what Steve said about, I guess Trump was already getting us to a point where now Biden is useless against the other major parties in NATO and stuff. They were all hoping for Biden to win because he's weak. Mm-hmm. And it's sad that he's even in office. Sorry. But I feel sorry for him being the puppet that he is.
I do too. He doesn't deserve where they have put him.
No, and I really, with Jill, they all want to say Dr. Jill Biden, whatever.
She's not a medical doctor, by the way.
She's not a medical doctor. Dr. Murphy's a medical doctor. Okay,
but she's also smart, and she's
smart. But I read a very interesting article that is factual, that she calls a lot of the shots for Joe.
She does.
She makes the decisions, not him.
Well, didn't Hillary do that for Bill?
Oh yeah, Lee. I mean, we all know that. I mean, as long as Bill was happy with his cigars, she could care less. Okay. But I just fear. I liked some of the things that I heard nationally, and then I'll let y'all go take some more calls. But New York is finally maybe starting to get some common sense people up there.
not so much in the city, but outside the city, yes.
Maybe in the mountains.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm North Carolina or New York born. This is what I say. I was New York born. I was Southern bred, and when I die, I'll be Tar Heel dead.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
But
Excellent.
it saddens me that there's people in New York that continue to put Fred Mertz. That's what I call what's his name, the guy who wears his pants up like Fred
Yeah,
Mertz
right.
did.
Yeah.
Chuck Schumer and these people, and continue to put them in office.
It's embarrassing.
It's I know how old was Strom Thurmond? 100 and something when he retired.
Well, he
Or-
was
or
like
got out
90.
of-
I think he was like 90 when he fathered
90.
another child.
Yeah. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. They need term limits. There needs to be term limits, and not nationally, locally, and statewide.
Mhm.
There needs to be term limits. The term limits, because once that person gets in there, they're in there until they want to get out.
In most cases, you're right.
They're in there until you vote them out. Now, I know
Well,
my personal feelings, if I've got somebody in there, a congressman that's doing an outstanding job, I just don't want them to leave yet. I want them to stay and continue.
Exactly.
As long as they
Yes.
continue doing an outstanding job. But
And
when
I
they're
could go
just
in-
outstanding
right.
in the field, I don't want them anymore.
I could go into it further, but unfortunately, we have to take a commercial break.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah,
good. Thank
okay,
you.
yep.
Good talking to you,
Great
Chris.
talking to y'all.
Take
My
care.
Y'all
best to
have a blessed
Kathy.
day.
You take care.
All right. Thanks.
Bye-bye. We've got a caller on the line too. Who's this? Thanks for holding.
This is Uli.
Hey, can you hold on long enough for the commercial break?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. You're live and local. Real Talk. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back after a kind of an extended break there, but we're playing catch up. Good morning. Is this Louis?
Yes, sir, it is.
There you go. Got you on the line now. What's up?
I had called you yesterday and got distracted. I was helping somebody, and at the time that we had come back on the air, and I didn't get out the message that I had intended to share with everybody.
Okay.
And in the United States Senate, there's a bill called the Equality Act. It was passed by the House in February of 2021, but in this bill, it targets your children starting in kindergarten, bringing what is called social transitioning. They're doing it in several states that's allowing it. 15 states have outlawed it. But anyhow, this federal bill, this is a federal bill. And if it passed, then it would affect all states. They would be mandated to instill and indoctrinate your children into believing that they're might not be in the body that they were designed to be into. They might be a boy in a girl's body or a girl in a boy's body. Well, the reason for me bringing this up is because on October the 29th, Kamala Harris at a Human Rights Convention brought up the Equality Act, saying that they're fighting to get that pushed through. Well, on October the 24th, President Biden had a interview with Dylan Mahogany or something or another, in which he stated that states should not have the right to block children from getting sex changes and treatment for sex changes. So they're still pushing this bill. And like I said, Kamala Harris said that they are fighting to get this bill passed. Well, the elections, if they don't do it within these next few days, they might lose the Senate.
Mm-hmm.
Right now they could try to push it through. So what I'm calling for is I encourage everybody to call your senators, because that's where it's at. And you have two in North Carolina, Tom Tillis and Richard Burr. But call them and tell them to vote no on the Equality Act.
Louis, do you have the number of that bill?
It's HR 5.
Okay, that's what I just found too, and I was looking at
And if
that.
y'all anybody wants some more information on this
Right.
bill, go to the heritagefoundation.org on the Equality Act. And
Okay.
it breaks it down. It tells you how they attached it to the 1964 Civil Rights Act and the wordings that they changed in the Civil Rights Act and how far it reaches out.
Right.
So,
All
Well,
right.
I'm going to take a look at
We'll
it.
take a look at it.
I've
Thank
got
you,
to
sir.
look. I've got it up
all
right
right,
now.
buddy. Y'all take care.
All right, you
Thank y'all.
too. We have another caller, but if you hold on, we'll be right back. We got to get play catch up here with a couple of commercials. Hopefully
it'll
this
go
one will go
fast.
right.
Yeah, I
Don't go
think-
away. We'll be right back.
The bill prohibits discrimination.
Okay, we're back. And Howard, I know you're on line too, so hang in there for just a second. And who's this? Good morning. Hello.
Hello,
Yes, this you.
I am Jeanette.
Hey, Jeanette, what's up?
So I just want to comment on something which unfortunately I hate to always hear because I may be a native New Yorker, but I am absolutely living and working in Jacksonville, North Carolina for the last 5 years.
Welcome aboard.
One of the callers mentioned something in regards to the state of New York, to having people have common sense. Well, most of my family is still there, and a lot of them do have common sense. But when you look at the facts of New York State and how there's over 20 million people in the state of New York, over 14 million reside in the 5 boroughs of the city,
Right.
which include a lot of unfortunate liberal areas and many Democrats. So the people who are on the outskirts of the city, the people who he says need some common sense, are actually the people like my family living on Long Island and the people who live upstate New York, that no matter what their vote is year after year, New York is predominantly Democratic because of the reality of the massive amounts of people in the city. So,
Actually,
you know,
the
you
caller was from New York. He was born in New York. He lives here now, and
Of course.
and he said that he said pretty much the same thing you're saying. The outside the city, outside the boroughs, that's where
Oh.
the common sense prevails.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm more defensive with the comment about the people there need to get common sense.
Uh-huh.
There's plenty of people there with common sense
Yes.
that still choose to live there and reside. I chose not to, so I left. But, you know, there are people who are trying to fight whatever political situation they want to be in. But when you are bombarded, no different than California, you have these major metropolitan cities and the voting is the reality. 20 million people, the percentage of people that live in the outskirts is so minimal that you could get all the common sense in the world and vote your entire life for one political party and lose every single year.
Yep.
Because the amount of people. And the
It's-
same thing goes for cities, whether it be Raleigh, Charlotte, and very
Excellent
massive
point.
cities that have a high population volume.
Yep.
So
Well-
it's not about common sense
Mhm.
or knowing the facts. Everybody's going to run on the platform that they choose their candidates to want to run for.
Sure.
Me personally, as a single mother with 3, the school system is my biggest problem with all the shootings. Other people may pick, you know, inflation, abortion, and many different issues. So I understand, like even when Steve called in and said people need to just not pick one thing and choose somebody. But unfortunately, some people will run based on one thing. So if myself as an independent choose to vote for a Democrat because that person is funding a lot of money in the schools, I could very well sway that way.
Mhm.
Based because the school system problem is my biggest issue as a mother.
Sure. All right,
Someone else who's saying inflation or you know what I'm saying? So
Yep.
sometimes it's like you could very well decide on a political person based on one thing. That doesn't mean you're not ignorant to the rest of their platforms or you don't have common sense.
Right.
That's basically what I have to say about
Excellent
that.
views.
Thank you for your call.
Excellent.
We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. All right. We got one more caller. Howard. Not
How are we doing, guys?
your last but not the
And-
least. Good morning. How are you?
I gotta agree with the donkey man. I think Lee should give the phone number out, your phone number. But anyway, I just wanted to say, because I know we're running close to time, I would love to hear one of these Democrats that call you state something like, yeah, and Hillary, with her crying about the election and saying that the 24 election is going to be stolen by the Republicans, just one time I'd like them to criticize one of theirs, like Al Gore, Stacey Abrams. It's like, aren't you glad that sports teams aren't like that? Where, you know, imagine Jacksonville High lose a game and then the coach comes on and, yeah, well, we were robbed, we were stolen, and it's just so childish. I'm sick of Trump. I'm sick of them talking about Trump. I just like to move on, and they won't let us move on, will they?
Nope. Nope.
So
and
that's
sports,
my comment.
Some sports teams do exactly what you're saying that they don't do. Yeah, I've heard a number of times. The referees won that game. The referees beat us. It wasn't us. It wasn't the other team. It was the referees' calls. That happens
They'll get
from time
fined
to
for that.
time. Well, from time to time,
Yeah.
that's what you hear anyway.
And that
Right, but I'd
reminds
like to
me-
hear the Democrats criticize their own
Good luck.
sometime.
Good luck on that one.
I personally think that Dr. Murphy is a great guy. I really do.
I'll tell you
That's
what,
just my opinion.
Oh, I'm going to take Steve to meet him.
I think I think when November 8th rolls around, that's next week.
Right.
We will see what the people think.
Right.
We're going to let
I'm
the people
afraid
speak.
Mr. Steve might be a wolf in sheep's clothing. I'm sorry, but that's just my opinion.
Oh, Steve's a good guy. He plays pretty
Oh,
good
I'm not
music
saying
too.
he is. What I'm saying is I believe you are impartial and neutral, but I never hear him criticize the Democrats.
Well, maybe
That's my point.
he'll do that tomorrow. All right. Thank you, sir.
I hope so. All right.
Have a good one, Howard. Whew.
It's been a busy show today.
2 days.
Yes,
in
it
a
has
row.
been.
Thanks.
And let's not forget Rocky Mountain, Jacksonville, Friday night football.
Oh yeah,
We've got to find out where it's going to be.
Rocky Mountain.
That's what I think. So
Yeah,
yes,
it is in Rocky
Yes.
Mountain. I saw that on the schedule. Cardinals going to have to travel all the way to Rocky Mountain.
That's
I
right.
hope they can catch a bus and
But
don't have to walk it.
WSME will be there broadcasting.
You got
it,
that right.
So
WSME will be there live. If you can't go, you can certainly listen to the game right here on WSME 971.
That's right.
And also on WSME971.com and on Simple Radio. You just look for WSME,
Right.
search for it. And let's see, what else is there? I think that's all of them.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to
Pre-show starts at 6:30.
Yep. Pre-show is at 6:30 live. And then the game, the kickoff's at 7:00. And the game will be over by about 8:30.
That's right. And they
Something
have
like
a
that.
post-game show brought to you by Golden Corral.
Yep. So they'll
So,
do a
lots
little
of
recap for you.
That's right.
Okay, we'll see you in the morning. And we got Dr. Rose on tomorrow. And I haven't even looked at the schedule to see if anything else is cooking.
Tomorrow's Wednesday.
We'll find somebody.
I think
Yeah,
Commissioner Bennett's coming on tomorrow.
Yeah, we got
He's
one.
going to talk about some transportation studies
Issues.
that came out. Yes.
You're live and local, Real Talk, Freedom 97.1, 1120 a.m., WSME. Stay tuned. We've got Fox News now, and at 10 o'clock, we got Rick Dees, the Daily
Yes.
Dees, and at 3 o'clock this afternoon is Hollywood
We've
in
got
the
our
house.
friend Hollywood.